Well, here we go again. And for all the old heads who've been watching for a long time, it looks like we might have two as a new organization, a la Feminist Frequency, has claimed credit for getting more than 400 games removed from Steam because they went and pressured payment processors, MasterCard and Visa, I believe, to remove their payment processing from Steam if they did not ban these games. Now, I don't necessarily blame Steam for bending the knee here because you have to have some sort of backup plan in place. Steam also has an extraordinarily long history of standing by free speech and standing by having, games on their platform that can make people feel uncomfortable. But this is absolutely wild. Let's get into this story. Huge shout out to Meta PCs, by the way, if you're a PC gamer. Promo code The Quartering to save on your next custom build or your ready to ship order. I've been working with them for years. And this is, they don't give a crap about cancel culture. They're pro free speech. So check them out. Link in the description. Steam may have deleted a bunch of spicy games because it was pressured to by a group who previously tried to ban Grand Theft Auto and Detroit Become Human. Last week, Steam revealed that it may start removing games that violate rules put forward by third parties, such as banks and internet service providers. Around the same time, it was spotted that some spicy games were removed from Steam, making a huge change in practice for a storefront that typically allows all sorts of controversial material on its platform. Collective Shout, a so-called feminist group that is anti-spicy videos and spicy video games, with a founder who's pro-life, which seems good, claimed responsibility for the change on Steam and the removal of the games. In a statement, it revealed that it had put pressure on MasterCard and Visa to tell Steam to remove the games containing any kind of spicy stuff. Steam appears to be working through its games and slowly delisting titles tagged with, spicy stuff. On Monday, we counted almost 500 games tagged with this stuff. Today, there are 81. We want to see them all gone. Note the claim that 500 games have been removed from Steam for including these things has been disputed by PC Gamer because it's, of course, a feminists and feminists lie. However, this is far from the first time Collective Shout has targeted video games, and previously with very dubious claims. Anna Valance, who reported as much for Vice, but then found out her article had been taken down. Now it's accessible via the Wayback Machine, reportedly for concerns around the matter. However, her findings about Collective Shout are all publicly available, showing how the group doesn't just limit their campaigning to controversial, spicy video games on Steam. In 2018, it shared a petition that called for stores to stop selling Detroit Become Human in Australia for depicting bad, relationships between a father and their daughter, even though it condemns the act and has the player fight the dad. Family issues like this are a big issue in the country. It's not something that should ever be considered entertainment. Shame on Sony. Even though, again, the dad who's doing it is considered a bad guy and, you fight the guy. But anyway, previously it had also campaigned against Grand Theft Auto for allowing players to take out female NPCs. In the petition, they cited an instance of a player purposely taking out a hooker. Well, yeah, that's the fun part, right? You get the fun, you go in the car, and then you take your money back. Isn't that what everyone does in that game? Of course, Valance also highlights how the campaign against Steam was co-signed by other groups, including a US-based National Center for Exploitation. This group takes it further and is against comprehensive education, the sale of toys, and have previously celebrated Etsy's ban of spicy toys for adults. Similarly, has led a campaign against Honey Pop, calling on Steam to remove the game. All that is to say that Collective Shout and similar anti-spicy video game groups are unlikely to stop at easier targets, given the wording of this concession made by Steam. All a group would have to do was get a payment processor on its side, and the games could be removed. And the groups do have a history of misrepresenting a game and its contents. I mean, this is a company that has no problem lying, right? Here's the Wayback Machine. Group behind Steam censorship policies have powerful allies and have targeted popular games with outlandish complaints. This is an article that she wrote on July 19th that they sent a cease and desist to Vice, and Vice immediately took it down. Over the past week, gamers have heavily criticized an Australian group called Collective Shout. The radical feminist organization has taken responsibility for Steam's payment processors that have resulted in the removal of various spicy games with taboo themes. As Collective Shout wrote on its official website Wednesday, the group has targeted nearly 500 games for removal on Steam, with 81 titles that the group still wants delisted from Valve's storefront. As concerned consumers have dug into Collective Shout's history to better understand its future plans, many have missed a key aspect in the public eye. Collective Shout has backed the backing of several prominent anti-spicy video groups. On July 11th, Collective Shout published an open letter to the CEOs of PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, PaySafe, Discover, and JCB. On the post, Collective Shout includes signatures from executives at such censorship-prone organizations as the National Center of this and that. Look, I don't, you guys know my opinion on kind of Gooner games, but I've never said that they should be banned. And you should be able to enjoy them if that's what you're into. These same people are calling it stunning and brave for women to have OF accounts, right? Honey Pop is a game available on Steam, a popular gaming platform that sells and distributes thousands of video games, including for the PC, Mac, mobile devices, and more. They wrote that Steam must be held accountable, not only for allowing this game to be on their platform, but for providing potential parental controls for not providing them, and safety features to make sure that the nature of this game are found by especially vulnerable kids. Meanwhile, Exodus City in 2022, Exodus Cry argued that in a news post that searches for these types of video games, Fortnite and Pokemon, led people to horrible content. You see, however, though, Collective Shout seems to be misinterpreting the games that they target. Yesterday, Vice requested specific examples from Collective Shout on Steam games that, per their organization, depicted abuse. As of yet, the group has not bothered to clarify which games even portray the subject and how. As a reporter covered yesterday, it seems incredibly unlikely that any spicy Steam games depict kids, and Valve previously pulled a visual novel over hidden and an inaccessible file of a spicy scene with a character Valve considered underage, even though the game's publisher denied the claim. The visual novel was only restored to Steam when the offending file was removed. In other words, it seems virtually impossible for Steam to host any spicy game depicting this type of thing. Rather, Collective Shout may simply just be targeting popular games that depict children in scenarios where they may face distress. Even in these depictions are intended to encourage concern and care for the player. From there, the organization may be describing those titles as, going after kids. 2018, they went after Detroit Become Human, which made a false claim. They also called Grand Theft Auto a misogynistic funhouse. This is a company that seems to have found a vector of attack, and is also totally fine lying about it. Steam removing adult games shows you can't even censor another country's free speech. Because, this is Australia, which is under horrible progressive leadership, radical progressive leadership. But by the way, this same company has defended the movie Cuties, just to say. The same company also has claimed that they're protecting women and kids, but at the same time, they're protecting, the creeps that hang out at the playgrounds. In other news, the organization spearheading the Visa and MasterCard to censor Steam have shielded PEDs from legal consequences before. Oh, what a coincidence. What an interesting thing. And oh, by the way, you see this expert armchair. I have no doubt the Collective is a big player with skeletons in their closet. However, at risk of sounding pedantic, I disagree that should be taken as evidence of that. The removal of Anna Valens' Vice article seems more like a classic case of them losing an optics, scissors, paper, rock. Collective Shout is a group that brands itself as being against anti-spicy videos and as a feminist organization. This thesis is that these videos and all things that could be connected to it It actively encourages bad behavior against women, but not men. Valens is symbolically and ideologically the ideal opponent for an organization like Collective Shout, a spicy video addicted fetishist who has publicly fantasized about doing terrible things. Imagine trying to defend this. That's why they picked, Anna Valens, obviously. But the thing is, here is even PC Gamer of all people, Australian anti-spicy video group, claims responsibility for Steam's new censorship rules in victory. But if you go to the bottom of this article, those numbers do not add up. Counting up all, quote, removed and retired games from SteamDB, since the 15th, I got 456 hits. But that includes double counts for most of the offending games, many of which were both removed and or retired, DLC and demos for those games. Also, given the double R treatment and the number of unrelated games that were taken off Steam during this time. All these sick, brain-rotted ped gamer fetishists are so desperate to get their hands on these type of games, they wrote, claiming the victory. The two restricted articles from Waypoint appear to be the first among Games Press, who point out the connection between Collective Shout and recent changes on Steam, a connection which by public knowledge, by Collective Shout's own statements, and not so they're trying to take down articles exposing this. They're going after anybody who's going after them. Look, I know I have a lot of Australian viewers, and I know you don't have the same freedoms of speech, but this is affecting the freedom of speech of the entire world. In America, we have a First Amendment right and a Second Amendment right set to protect that First Amendment. And this is, they keep taking articles down that are critiquing them. Look, these type of games aren't necessarily for me, but I don't have any problem with them existing. And this is another battle that they've now found an attack vector that's going to be very, very helpful. So make sure you send me any information you find on Collective Shout, as I will not be adhering to any cease and desist letters those clowns send me. And I will not be bullied by them. I will happily report on them as information is sent to me at thequartering@gmail.com. Also, again, thanks, shout out to metapcs.com, link in the description, promo code thequartering. Their sponsorship of my channel is why I can continue to not give a damn about, maybe upsetting the wrong people. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.